Hello guys, let's start our today's topic, that's digoxin. So digoxin is a drug that's used in patients with congestive cardiac failure, and it is used only in patients who are symptomatic. And the important point about this drug is that it has no effect on mortality. The other drugs that we give for congestive cardiac failure like beta blockers or AC inhibitors or ARBs, they decrease mortality, but digoxin, it has no effect on mortality. Now, talking about pharmacokinetics, so we have three important points about pharmacokinetics. First is that it has good oral absorption. Now, the second point is it has high distribution. So, whenever a drug has high distribution, it means that a loading dose has to be given. So, the first dose that you give is a loading dose. Now, the third point is that the elimination is by the renal system. Now, moving on to the mechanism of action. So, mechanism of action can be cellular or on the organ level. So we'll talk about cellular first, and moving on to the cellular, we have two, extracellular and intracellular. So we'll talk about extracellular part first. Now digoxin, it blocks the sodium potassium ATPase pump. Now what do I mean by that? So the sodium potassium ATPase pump, normally it causes reverse depolarization. That means it throws the sodium out of the cell and it brings the potassium inside the cell. So whenever I block the sodium potassium ATPase pump, that means the sodium is not going outside and the potassium is not coming inside, which means the potassium increases outside and sodium increases inside. So that means it causes hyperkalemia in the body. Now this potassium that has increased, what it does is it binds to this sodium potassium pump and prevents the digoxin to further bind to this pump. That means it does not allow the digoxin to bind, and that means it prevents digoxin toxicity. Now you need to remember that for example, if you're talking about a situation, if a patient is on diuretic. Now in diuretic, what happens is hypokalemia. So if there's hypokalemia in the body, that means if there's hypokalemia, that means this potassium is not binding to this pump, and the digoxin has more pumps to bind. So if digoxin binds to more pump, that will in turn lead to digoxin toxicity. So in case of diuretics, there is digoxin toxicity seen. So you need to remember this point whenever you're prescribing this drug to a patient with on diuretic. Now we'll move on to the intracellular part. Now in intracellular part, there's also another pump, that is a sodium calcium exchanger. Now what this pump normally does is it pushes the calcium outside the cell and pushes the sodium inside the cell. But we know that since the sodium potassium pump is blocked, there's already too much of sodium inside the cell. So if there's too much of sodium inside the cell, the more sodium won't come in. So this will be blocked. Now if this is blocked, the calcium won't go out and the calcium will increase inside the cell. So there will be increase in intracellular calcium. Now when there's increase in intracellular calcium, this will cause delay after depolarization. Now what do I mean by that? So normally if we see two cycles. So this is one cycle and then there's a break and there's another cycle. So normally if we block the calcium channel, that means the depolarization, the plateau phase decreases. Now what we are doing is the calcium is increasing inside the cell. So since the calcium is increasing, there will be more depolarization. There will be another depolarization, and that will be called as extrasystole. Now this extrasystole, if it's repetitive, it will cause a arrhythmia. That will be ventricular bigeminy or trigeminy. Now this is a very important point because ventricular bigeminy is the most common digoxin-induced arrhythmia. Now, if this ventricular bigeminy or trigeminy is there in the body, and if the calcium further increases, then there will be ventricular tachycardia, and if it further increases, then there will be ventricular fibrillation. Now, how will you treat this ventricular fibrillation? The drug of choice will be lidocaine, and you'll use Digibind. What is Digibind? It basically reverses digoxin toxicity. So you will use this drug Digibind. Now there's one more important thing. So to treat this ventricular trigeminy and bigeminy, you can use potassium. Why? Since we already studied that if we use potassium binds to these receptors, the potassium ATPase, and prevents digoxin to bind further. So this way, what potassium does is it prevents digoxin toxicity. So you can use it in ventricular bigeminy or trigeminy because these are not life-threatening arrhythmias. But when I'm talking about ventricular fibrillation, so ventricular fibrillation is it's a life-threatening situation. It is caused in toxicity of digoxin. So if there's already digoxin toxicity and I give potassium, there's already digoxin toxicity and I give potassium, that means digoxin toxicity, that means there's hyperkalemia. In hyperkalemia, if I give potassium further, that means it is gonna worsen the situation. So guys, remember that in ventricular fibrillation, you won't give K+. But in ventricular bigeminy and trigeminy, you can give K+. That is potassium ion. Now moving on to the next part, mechanism of action on the basis of organ. So the organ that it affects is heart. Now we have two scenarios, normal dose and high dose. So I'll talk about high dose first. So when you're giving digoxin high dose, it acts as a sympathomimetic. That means it pushes the sympathetic system. That means it causes tachyarrhythmia. But when I'm talking about normal dose, in normal dose, it causes parasympathomimetic effect. What does that mean? Now, parasympathomimetic effect, we know that the parasympathetic system, it blocks the AV node and also it blocks the SN node and also the AV node. Now, what you need to remember is, we know that the AV node and the SN node are blocked, but the calcium is increasing in the atrial cells. We already studied this in the intracellular effect, that the calcium will increase. So the calcium is increasing inside the cell. This calcium will further cause atrial tachycardia. Because there is calcium increasing, calcium will cause another extra systole, it will cause atrial tachycardia. The most important thing, that is the most characteristic digoxin-induced arrhythmia, is this, that there will be AV nodal blockage and still there will be atrial tachycardia. This cannot be seen anywhere else. So when I'm in the hospital and I get this ECG with these two things, I know it has to be digoxin-induced arrhythmia. Now, this effect of digoxin, that it blocks AV node and also causes atrial tachycardia, can be used in a situation when we want to convert atrial flutter into atrial fibrillation, because I know atrial fibrillation is the worst part of atrial flutter, but also atrial fibrillation can be controlled very easily. Atrial flutter, it's very difficult to control. Now talking about side effects. So side effects, the most common one is nausea and vomiting. It causes all type of arrhythmias except atrial flutter and morbid's type 2 block. The other effect is hyperkalemia. We already saw that. The important one is yellow vision. This is usually asked in exams, so it's important for exams. And we have also gynecomastia. Now we'll talk about the contraindications of the disease. So contraindications in 3 ways. We'll talk about the conditions it's contraindicated in. So obviously it's contraindicated in hypokalemia, because in hypokalemia there's less potassium in the body, so the sodium potassium pump is free for the digoxin to bind. It binds more, there's digoxin toxicity. Second is renal failure. I told you that the elimination of digoxin happens through kidneys. So if there's renal failure, the elimination won't happen, it will decrease, so it will cause digoxin toxicity. And the important thing is MI over here, because MI is a new thing. So we know that MI increases the permeability of cell to calcium. So if MI is there in the body, it will increase the permeability and calcium will be more inside the cell. And this calcium inside the cell will cause the tachycardia problem. Now I'll talk about the drugs. You need to mug up this. You have to remember diuretics, because obviously we talked about diuretics cause hypokalemia. Then there's quinidine, there's amiodarone, and there's propafenone. So you need to remember these drugs. And there's important thing that this drug is contraindicated in WPW syndrome. So we read right now that it blocks AV node. So WPW syndrome is a problem about it's a arrhythmia of accessory pathway. So if I block the AV node, the conduction in the accessory pathway increases. So basically I'm worsening the situation in WPW syndrome. So I cannot give digoxin. And last important points are that since it has low therapeutic index, you need to monitor, and this you need to remember this value because it's important, that the plasma level should always be less than 1 nanogram per milliliter, because this can be asked in exams for MCQ basis. So this is important for MCQs. And the route oral is preferred. We can also give it IV, but why will I prefer oral route is because it has low therapeutic index. So if I give IV, it's continuously going and it's affecting the body. But oral, since it goes on a timely interval, I know when the toxicity is happening. I can control it. But in IV, since it rushes in a more rapid state, the drug rushes in a more rapid state, so it can cause a problem. So we prefer oral route. And I think that's it for the topic. Thank you for watching, guys. Bye.